welcome back. My name is Armando. For those who know me, I call me Armando from Bomberos on Fire Podcast and Fire Group Company. I'm doing old school with the logo on the back. That was when I started like 3 years ago. That's my old logo. Um, yeah, I took a break from podcasting, as you guys noticed, for the past 3 months, because as you guys noticed too, I've been busy traveling around the world. I was talking to Cassandra about China and Belgium and Croatia and Chile. So for those people that saw me over there or see me, thank you so much for receiving me. And now I'm back to the podcast. Like I said, the planets align, and I'm able to talk to me, one of the best in this field, intimacy and sexology and all that related to that field. And Cassandra, welcome back.
Oh, thank you so much for having me back.
Hey, you're welcome. No, to me, it's a pleasure talking to you. So much fun.
The last time we spoke was quite a while ago, about a year ago.
Yeah, and a lot changed.
Yeah, you've been doing so much since then.
Yeah, and you too, though. You've been doing. I seen your posting on Instagram and seeing all that, and it's getting. I remember your website was kind of weird. Now it's actually looking way better. Your posts are way better. So I'm glad that you and I were able to move on and evolve on this field, and whatever we're doing, evolving.
Yeah, it's one of the things I love about my work is that it's so unique that there's not a solid box that I have to fit in. And I get to kind of move and shift as my clients and the people who show up in my space move and shift. And I get to be exactly what it is that they're looking for. And, you know, when you listen to your clients, they're going to tell you exactly what they need and exactly what's happening in their life. So I listen. And
Hey, you have to adapt, right? Adapt to the customer. Yeah, I feel you. So last time we talked about basically more about you. How do you became this awesome therapist, counselor, guidance, whatever, shaman, whatever you want to call it, for some people, and your rough kind of life experience that now make you appreciate everything more. But now I want to talk about what actually you do. No more about you, just what you do. So I know you're an intimacy coach. Sorry about my accent. I've been talking to different people, different languages for the past hour.
Yeah, I'm a certified sexologist and intimacy coach, and I specialize in Tantra and BDSM. So I'm not a licensed therapist. I'm not a psychologist. Everything that I have learned, everything that I taught is primarily learned through my life experience being in the adult industry and in the adult playing world for the past 25 years. Coupled with all of that experience, I have gone through extensive trainings as well to be able to bring my clients the best. For a lot of what I teach is from experience. I find many couples and singles, especially singles who are looking for love and want to make sure that they're in a good space before they find love, they have recognized the complexities and the union between what we experience in the bedroom and what we're experiencing everywhere else in our life. So my work at first started on, like the tips or tricks of what to do in the bedroom to make your sex life better, to enhance connection. And as I was saying earlier, I listen to my clients and what they're showing up with, and the direction that they lead me in is where I choose to hone my expertise. And so a lot of my clients were showing me in the first year or two of my work that what they were experiencing in the bedroom was showing up in their relationships with family, with friends. It was showing up in their place of work. So I started to bring in a little bit of a broader teaching into my work and step outside of the bedroom a little bit, because I knew for myself and my own experience that when I was getting sober and changing my life and doing, starting on my healing path 11 years ago, so many places that I would show up into, therapy, AA, different religions that I would try out in church, none of them really touched on the sexual component. But when I started to dive into where I was sexually and started to work on the things that I needed to personally heal sexually, I noticed how much these were connected to my own world. The more I healed my sexual self, the better I was showing up as a mother, as a grandmother, the better I was showing up for my clients and in the work that I do. And at that time, my clients were in insurance. I wasn't a sexologist at that time, but I was still showing up better for them in that space. So whenever I started to really get into this work, a couple years into this work, noticing that all my clients were experiencing the same thing, to where they would find they were having better sex lives, they were enjoying their bodies more, their bodies were responding in better ways, that it wasn't just happening in the bedroom, that they were fulfilling duties and things at work so much better, that they were more lively with their children, that, life just seemed to kind of perk up a little bit more. So in my work, there's a culmination of quite a few things that we tune into. And when I'm working with a couple, especially, I'm tuning into what kind of path have they forged together. A lot of couples show up in my space and they might have great communication, they already have a great sex life, things are going amazing in their relationship, and maybe they want to learn something a little alternative. Maybe they want to learn how to safely and consciously step into opening their marriage up to more unique experiences, such as, being a swinger, open the relationship up in that way. Or maybe they're wanting to venture into learning some things about BDSM and how that can spark up their relationship. So I have couples that show up in that realm, and I also have couples that show up in the space where they're really struggling in their relationship, where they're not seeing eye to eye, where the sex life is not very good. Often I see this in couples that have been together for a number of years, although this obviously can happen in new relationships too. But we tend to, in the newness of a relationship, our bodies are emitting all of these heightened hormone releases that it gives us that, love is blind type of energy.
Yeah.
And so the problems tend to be a lot smaller in the beginning of our relationship, and they will compound on top of each other, especially if we don't understand good communication, and not just good communication with our partner, but good communication with ourselves early on in the relationship. I've seen this in my own relationships where, in relationships that I've had many, many years ago, when I did not know myself very well and I did not know how to communicate in a healthy way, things would just go left unsaid. And when they get left unsaid for long enough, it starts to build anger and resentment in a relationship. When we don't know how to communicate our needs, we want our partner to guess what our needs are, or just kind of know what our needs are. And so I work with couples who are starting from ground zero in a way, and other couples who are just like, everything is amazing. We just want to add a little sparkle on the top of it.
Yeah.
And I like to create and co-create the sessions that we have together with these couples. It's like, tell me what you need. I'll let you know if I'm the space that can actually provide what you need. And if I can, then let's create this together, and let's create what we need in order to bring you to a place of deeper connection, of better sex, of more experiences and experimentation. And then that starts to fold out into their own lives organically. So I think that kind of sums up a little bit of what I do.
Is basically you're doing like a holistic care, if we understand. Because I come from the medical field when I have a disease, I have to treat it.
Mm-hmm.
I care about, let's say in my case, because I came from shift this morning, a stroke alert, somebody having a stroke, I take care of the brain. I take it to the emergency room. That's it. I don't care if you feel sad, depressed, happy. I just want make sure your brain is fine. You can
Mm-hmm.
do everything else. So you are more like holistic, and you became more holistic and more resourceful, I guess, for your clients.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I understand, and which is great because not everybody have the same needs or everybody have the same problems, and not everybody, which I learned talking to people, not everybody have the same coach. Like you might be perfect for me, but maybe another couple or somebody else say, "Hey, I don't think that you and I can connect. I need a different coach or different person because this is different. It's personalities, I guess." And
Yeah. Yeah, and I strongly believe that if I'm not the person that can get you the results that you're wanting, I don't want to take somebody on like that as a client because I'm just leading all of us up to disappointment in the end. And I'd be a much better resource pointing them into the direction of possibly one of my colleagues who I think is a great match. I have colleagues that, we teach so differently, and I love it because when someone's not a fit for me, and I've had those situations where, I've not been a fit for a coach, but the coach takes me on anyways. And I only leave being resentful of that coach because they knew they couldn't provide what I needed and they still took me on. So when I have a consultation with someone, I'm really looking, not only am I the best fit, am I somebody who can bring them those results, but if not, who can? Because I've got so many resources from those. Often I'm referring to my own personal teachers. I have a couple of different teachers who taught me in very different ways. One was very clinical, the other one extremely spiritual. And so, I like
yeah,
to
you
have a
got
balance of both since I'm more agnostic and pagan. I kind of like I believe in the wind, and I believe in
yeah,
the
no,
earth, and I believe in all that. But I'm so open to all beliefs, and I think they're all beautiful. So they're a great balance between. But if somebody's showing up in my space and then they're not a fit for me, and I'm not able to be of help, I do have lots of resources that I can point them in the direction of, which I love. Being a resourceful person is a benefit to my clients as well.
yeah, I bet. And I will put all your connections and your links and website on the description of the episode. Whoever's interested. You only take care of people in Florida or all around the world or
All around the
anywhere?
world because I am available online as well. I
Okay.
do offer Zoom sessions, and some of my clients are needing the experience or desiring the experience. And those clients, they're more than welcome to come for an in-person session at my place in West Palm Beach, Florida. But for those who are looking more for some guidance for the coaching, then yeah, I do online Zoom sessions. So that is worldwide. As long as their time zones can link up to be able to actually have a session
Oh
together.
yeah. Trust me, I know about it a lot.
Yeah, once
It's
you start
fucking.
mixing time zones, it can get a little messy.
Oh my god, it's horrible. Like I said before, I went to China in March for a tournament, and is the flight took me 23 hours. So from Florida to LA, LA to China, and then 3 hours in a car Uber to the place deep into China. Like
Oh
wasn't
my
even on
goodness.
the coast. So yeah, when I talk to my family, it's 12 hours difference, which is yeah, it screwed me up when I came back. That's the problem. When I
Yeah.
came back, I was completely out of time. I was falling asleep all over the place. Like this is stupid. Like what I'm doing here.
Wow.
It was rough the time zones. But talking about international stuff, I noticed when I traveled to China that the cultures are so much different. Like, and I bet you experience that too. You see a couple from here, a couple from Europe are more, I guess, open to your field in Europe than, for example, here or South America. And then you go to China, Asia, and it's dependent which country it is how open they are. And China is really close. They don't talk that about all. Like even if you have somebody who's, let's say, different taste on sexuality, they say, he's just weird. That's fine. It's just trying to ignore him. It's just Jimmy's just a little bit weird. It's just a little bit extra.
Yeah, and when you go over to different cultures and different spaces, you find that there's a lot of differences. Yet there's also still so many similarities.
Yeah.
In the end, we're all just wanting to be loved in a way that feels nice for us. In the end, we're just wanting to be able to enjoy our pleasure without shame, without guilt, without feeling obligation. You know, we all kind of want the same things and appreciate some similar things in life. We just go about it in a different way. You know, yeah, like you say, those who are in Europe, you know, the sexuality component and the alternative parts of it, not so much of a new thing, not so much of a big thing. But the communication pieces can be very big over there.
Yeah.
Where they may not be as tuned in to how to communicate in a very transparent way. You know, a lot of people, they actually communicate more in an honest way than in a transparent way, which are very different. Honesty says that I'm going to answer your questions truthfully. Transparency is you're going to have less questions to ask because I'm going to give you enough information to fill in all the blank spaces. So it's a little bit different, you know, if I go away for a girls' weekend and my husband hears word that I met up with some guy on Sunday afternoon and was flirting with him, if he says, did you meet up with some guy on Sunday afternoon and were flirting with him? No, I didn't. But now if the truth was I met up with a woman on Saturday afternoon and flirted with her, I was giving him honesty, but I wasn't giving him transparency. So there's that a little show of how, like, you know, honesty and transparency are different. So, you know, in Europe, those areas, the communication pieces might come in a little bit more. But then you go over to places that, like, you know, you go over to China, there might be some lots of exploration, more in the realm of just like putting blindfolds on. Or just maybe bringing cuffs into the bedroom. Like that might be really taboo for somebody over there. And the same goes not just with cultural differences, but also religious differences too.
Yeah.
I get a lot of clients who are coming from very strict religious backgrounds, and they're learning how to not feel shameful over, you know, sometimes things that you or I might consider just like, okay, a little kinky, but nothing weird, you know, and for them being raised in a really strict religious upbringing, that mildly kinky thing is like almost very wrong in their mind. And so they have they often feel shame for that, and they're working through the shame so that way they can just experience their sex life the way that they want without that shame.
Good.
And the same goes for people who haven't had any spiritual background.
Yeah, exactly. And how, because I know a lot of people, and you know more than I am, they feel shame about it. Like, even if it's just having some fun with themselves or with somebody else, regardless what they like, because that's, to me, I don't care who you like. How do, I don't know, how do you start getting open to yourself? How do you, let's say I'm the person really feel ashamed about myself doing anything. How do you start opening a little bit? If you can give a little tip or a little guidance, say, hey, if you guys starting doing this, it might help you to actually explore yourself and explore somebody else.
Yeah, that's a great question. So what I'm hearing is the question is, if somebody is feeling shame around maybe a preference or a kink or something, what can they do to start, like step one, to start releasing some of that shame? What I often do with my clients is first, education. Educate yourself about whatever it is that you're feeling shame around. Almost everything is a kink. And so if it's become a kink, when I say everything is a kink, it's like everything has almost like a label, like its own little kinky name in the kink world. Most people would be surprised to find out how common their weird thing is. Most of my clients who come to me with shame around a kink, the first thing I'm doing is I'm educating them on how many other people have the same kink, how common it is to have that kink, and also where does that kink originate from? Because most of our kinks actually originate in a very early time in our life before we even know what the word kink means.
Really?
A lot of kinks originate in our childhood. Before we even know what sex is. Some of us have already implanted kinks into our mind. It's pretty fascinating. I love to learn about people and where their kinks originated, because they don't all originate from our childhood, but a majority of them do. And I help my clients understand, where do these kinks come from? Because I will have also clients who will show up with kinks that are more of a compulsion. And some may liken that to it being a fetish. I feel like there's a difference between a compulsion and a fetish. Now, a kink is something that I like this and it enhances sex. A
Okay.
fetish is I like this and it's the only way that I really enjoy sex. So
Oh.
something that's a fetish is a lot stronger of a desire when it comes to arousal than something that's a kink.
Oh. Okay. So kink is, for example, I like to get a massage
Mhm.
during sex, but a fetish would be I can only get off if I get a massage.
Exactly. Yes. Yes. And an
Oh.
obsession leans over. A lot of people think that they have a fetish when they might just have an obsession over something. And an obsession is more compulsory, it's more in the space of addiction. And in that space of addiction, a lot of times the activities are interfering with the way that they truly want to live their life. So, for instance, someone who has a compulsion or an addiction to sex itself, they may make decisions on where they have sex, who they have sex with, how often they have sex, all of these things based on their addiction rather than based on their true authentic self. For instance, my addiction, my biggest one, was alcohol. And so I would choose to have a drink with vodka in it at 7 o'clock in the morning, where most people would go, that's probably not a good idea.
Yeah, that's a little early. And some countries are not. Let me tell you something. I when I was
This is true.
when I was in Poland, I was in the on the morning meeting on the fire station, and maybe because I was the guest, they came out with a shot of vodka or vodka, how they call it in Poland, at 7 in the morning, and that's completely normal. I'm like, guys, in the U.S. this shit is forbidden, but hey, Straveska, just bring me the shot. So at 7 o'clock, I was drinking vodka shots, and that's part of the culture because they keep it because it was kind of cold, so they keep him warm. And I told her, hey, at least if you want to get me drunk, at least give me a kiss because I won't remember shit. It was horrible. But it's experience that now I understand a little bit more about it, like that. So in that, is that connected to PTSD? That obsession with things?
Sometimes it can be. And I have helped some of my clients who, when we deal with something traumatic in our lives, the first thing that our mind and our body wants to do is find a way to cope with it. It's a lot of pain, and we want to bring in pleasure. One of the ways that we cope with things is we eroticize them. So, for instance, now I don't know if this might be a little too much. I'll try to not be very graphic in this one.
Bro,
So
you
there
are
was
what you're free to whatever you want to do. This is a free, I call that a grass-fed, non-binary, uh, whatever you want to call it, podcast.
yeah,
This is
okay,
this is
good.
for you. This is your platform. I'm just the car that you're driving. That's it.
So I had someone reach out and ask if they could purchase my feces. If I could just place it into a Tupperware and they would simply purchase it and they would ingest it when they got home. Now, of course, it's not within what I do, but I simply thanked them and said, that's not within my realm. Now, a lot of people would get very offended or be like, oh my God, you're so gross. But I understand where this might be coming from. Now, digesting such an item is not good for our health. So this person is giving into a compulsion, addiction, whatever, call it whatever you want. I have not seen this person to be able to, say that, and I am not a person who diagnoses. But, something like that can be understood by understanding where that might come from. And that's actually a kink and a fetish. They call it scat. They don't actually call it poo. They call it scat. And it's a common toilet fetish, kind of like golden showers. Now we hear golden showers and we're like, okay, I know what that is.
Yeah,
And
that's easy. Yeah,
maybe for
yeah,
some people it might be yuck. For some people it might be yum. I don't like to yuck somebody else's yum. No kink shaming here.
exactly.
Some people enjoy things and others do not. So golden showers is something that I'm sure many of your listeners would probably even be like, oh, okay, that's more common. Well, the other one's just the other side, it is just as much of a desire. And this can come from, not definitely, but here's one of the instances, just to give you an example. This can come from being left in our own feces as a child, as a baby, and possibly ingesting it at that time. And if during that time, ingesting that or future ingesting of that brought comfort in some way, we may start to be more compulsory with it. We're doing it. We may not like that we're doing it, but we can't help it because it's just like, oh my gosh, this just brings me comfort. And we don't understand why, because during that time that it brought us comfort, we were too young to understand what we were doing. We were a toddler or a baby. And so then as we move further into our life, we're now compulsively doing this naughty thing, this dirty thing. And one of the things that brings arousal into a lot of activities is the taboo factor. So
Yes.
if you bring in the taboo factor, now here I'm doing something that brings me a sense of calm, or, I'm making this up, obviously, with reference to factual data. But if this thing brought us a sense of ease and calm, and now it's taboo and it's naughty, but we like it and nobody can know, it can get eroticized. And that's just one example of how the brain does this amazing thing with eroticizing our pain. So back to the PTSD. If our PTSD is, for example, if a woman's PTSD is being raped, we'll go with that one. That's something that I've experienced. It is not uncommon to have fantasies and desires or kinks or even fetishes that incorporate some of those components of what happened during that traumatic event. Because during the traumatic event, sometimes the pain becomes so great that our brain flips it over into the pleasure zone and takes that pain and shifts it into pleasure. It's a really fascinating part of the human psyche. And I love the human psyche for how fascinating it is with those things.
It is. Your own brain literally trick you to avoid the pain and make it something pleasure so you don't feel the pain. Mm-hmm. That's your own brain.
Yeah. And there are some things that you or I may perceive as pain, but all of our pain receptors are very different. And so we may see somebody getting like paddled or spanked and go, oh my God, that looks so painful. But for them, what is happening in their nervous system, the messages that are being sent throughout their nervous system are not registering the same kind of way that it registers for you or I. I'm like a total baby when it comes to pain. My husband knows that when he's being the dominant, we're going really light on the paddlings and spankings. He can tie me up, blindfold me, ball gag me, throw me around. All that stuff is fine, but just be light on the spankings. Because I'm a delicate little flower when it comes to my skin. But others, they're just like, hit me as hard as you can. And every single hit, there's just more and more arousal that's building in their bodies. We're all wired very similarly, but the slightest little shifts and changes that we have, those slight deviations that we have, are pretty profound when it comes to what our interests and our pleasures are. So those who are suffering from PTSD, who find themselves in this realm of, I have a compulsion that I think is tied to this PTSD, there is actually help out there for that. And we can actually untie that together and find a renewed way for them to be able to still experience their kink. Healing the PTSD does not take the kink away. It might, for some it might, but often what it does is it changes the way that it's showing up in our life. So instead of compulsively wanting to be spanked, and we can't live without being spanked, and we can't calm ourselves down without being spanked, it becomes, I really love being spanked. It turns me on a lot when I'm being spanked, but I can actually calm my nervous system without needing it anymore. And so those are the only shifts that I help my clients through. I never, ever try to fix somebody's kink as if they're broken for having it.
Okay, that's a big difference because yeah, yeah, I was fortunate. Was able to experience, not experience, but at least seen that world of BDSM, the spanking, the stuff. Like I mentioned it before, I also have another side of the company that I provide IV businesses and IV hydration, vitamin B12, and all those good things to hydrate during events, or go to your house and do it. I was contacted by a big resort here in Florida, and I've been in their events, those are swinger events. And last weekend, actually 2 days ago, it was the BDSM weekend, and I was able to see when you get tied and hang with ropes. And I was more interested on the rope part because I like ropes. So I asking the guy, "Hey, what type of rope you using? What type of knot?" I didn't care that much about the sex part, but it's just the rope. But I was able to see how people get really not hurt, but they get spanked really hard. Like to me, they get the skin purple, and they're just enjoying and smiling. Oh, this is amazing! This feels great. I'm like, holy shit, that's gonna hurt tomorrow.
Uh-huh.
And I see how people get tied up, and they're like little kids in the playground, just smiling, and this is amazing. This enjoying this, and I see now I can understand more when you talk about that, about the kinks and the fetish. Now it makes sense. Before I'm like, okay, cool, I never seen it, but now that I seen it, I don't participate, but I seen it. I see that, yeah, it makes sense, that kink, that pleasure, that things that give you that arousal every time you get hit or you get in a gag ball or whatever, you feel like it. And it's amazing. The human brain is amazing.
Yeah, it really is. And and the opposite is true too, where we experience a trauma and it makes us shut down completely a part of our body. Um, for me, I had experienced trauma and it shut down my capacity to be able to have an orgasm during sex. And so completely blocked from it. And it made it really difficult for me to be, because I didn't know how to fix it when I was in my 20s and 30s. And so if you don't know how to fix it, the person that you're with is just feeling, they're internalizing it the entire time and just making it about them. Like, oh, I guess I'm not a good enough lover. And it's like, it's not bad if you could just help me fix it. That's a very common space too, is when we go through trauma, when we go through PTSD. It's not quite as common for us to eroticize it. It's a little bit more common for us to shut down and desensitize from it. Um, and that's something that I notice, we'll go back right into the spanking. With spanking, sometimes it's eroticized so much that it's also got this desensitized portion to it, to where it's almost like abusing our own selves over and over again. Not to say that people who like spankings are all like this. This is actually a very small percentage that, where they're taking the beating so hard and so hard that they're actually doing damage to their own self, because they might have eroticized the activity, but they might have desensitized themselves from feeling it. And so if they're eroticizing something, but they're desensitized to it physically, well, then they're going to want so much pain that none of the pain will ever be effective because they're completely shut down from it. So for clients like that, that's when it kind of tunes me into like, what's going on here? I don't mind those who want a very severe spanking. Like I'm gladly show up. But if it's to the point where you're actually creating harm to yourself, more long-term harm, that's when it concerns me, where it's like, okay, well, maybe you've shut something down here. Let's open that up before we continue. Then it doesn't take such a hard beating.
Yeah.
I don't have to hurt you quite so much physically to get you to that space where you want to be. So there's a lot to play with it in that realm. And I guess because I've lived it, I started out so much in the toxic end and have brought myself into the healthy end. I understand both sides of it. So that's why I try to follow where my clients lead me to, because they're going to tell me exactly what kind of coach I am and how I'm helping the best. I love my clients for that.
No, no, it's great. You need to listen. That's one of the skills as a coach, is to listen. A
Mm-hmm.
medical provider, listen. That's most important than even know sometimes, in my case, where to go. Just listen to the patient. That
Yeah.
will give you it will help you a lot in long term. Um, I can see that more the isolation. I can see more like the put in the shield and don't sense anything. Do you see that a lot on adult performers, like doing adult content by any
Yes.
chance? Or
And, not to say all adult performers, and it's not something that you can tell just from watching them
yeah,
or
yeah,
looking at them. But many times, for myself, I was a stripper and sometimes an escort whenever I was in my 20s. And I shut down, and sex became transactional. My body became an object. And although I did discover my own kink with objectifying myself, I mean, sure, that one definitely turned some pain into pleasure.
yeah, I bet.
And so in a conscious way, I love objectifying myself now sometimes. But then I was doing it in a very subconscious way. I was objectifying myself to meet a need for a means to an end, and I was doing it unwillingly. And so in that space, absolutely, adult performers, not so much, believe it or not, porn.
Really?
Behind the scenes, a lot more happens that connect people. And so porn doesn't necessarily mean that there's any kind of disconnect. There's lots of very connected porn that happens. It all depends on how everything plays out behind the scenes. But just because it's porn does not necessarily mean it's disconnected. But yes, with a lot of adult providers, women who have been escorts, men who have been escorts, I've worked with both, and there is a shutting down that happens, and it's really a simple process we go through to where they've created that space for the client. They just need to break away and create two spaces. There's one for the client and there's one for our personal selves. And a lot of times what happens is we don't make those two. We try to keep them all as one. And they don't work very well that way. So I have helped a lot of adult performers, adult entertainment performers, be able to create that space that is their sacred sexuality space and let the other space be work.
Yeah,
It works out
yeah.
great for them then.
I bet, but it's to me it's so it's like having a Batman and the personality of superhero. You one in one part you're Batman, another one you're Bruce Wayne. You completely divide, right?
Yeah, it is. It is. And just understanding that there's certain things that we do as activities with our body, and there's things that we do intentionally with our soul. And just because we're doing something with our body doesn't mean that our soul has to interpret it into stories that we tend to interpret it into because of society. Society tells us that if you're having sex for any reason other than love, that it's wrong and it's bad. And so it's a lot of shame removal that has to happen. And when we can remove the shame around it and go, no, I mean, there's plenty of people who work using their bodies. They labor all day. And at the end of the day, like, oh my God, my body is tired and that sucked and I hated work today. And it's okay for a sex worker to feel the exact same way too. But what often happens is we internalize and we start to shame. And that shame starts to compound on top of. So there's a lot of different areas of that. But, just a couple little tidbits. I don't think you have too many adult performers as your audience. So.
No, not at all. I got probably a bunch of firefighters around the world.
Yeah.
Really, really, and you know how first responders are, firefighters, police.
Yeah.
We,
And,
we
I think honestly, when it comes to firefighters and police, for what I notice that comes up the most for them is to where they give and they give and they help and they save, and they're left wondering who's there for me, who's there to hear my pain, who's there to hold me when I want to cry. And that can start to shut down some processes of eroticism, some spaces of sexuality, to where, our genuine happiness, the happiness of our heart, directly affects the happiness of our sexuality. And so sometimes first responders are looking for someone to be their first responder, to show up for them. And some of them have spouses, but add enough children into the mix and your spouse doesn't always have the energy, the time, or the foresight to know what their partner wants. So I actually have a session tomorrow with a firefighter who is experiencing just that. And it's like, it's so much that he doesn't want to throw it on to his wife. He needs to work through this stuff, with somebody outside of the marriage so he can step back into the marriage being this full husband that he wants to be. And, she fully supports him in that and says, go do what you need to do to get yourself right and to process through these things so you can start showing up as the husband that I married and that I love. And from us talking, he's seen a lot of things, and a lot of first responders see a lot of things. And then after they see these things and experience these things, they're expected to just jump right out there and keep on working. And it's hard.
No.
A lot of PTSD.
I know. Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah.
Yes. I know how you feel about it. There is it's a movie. I don't know if you've seen it. A new one called Code 3. Hopefully they listen to the podcast and promote me and help me out. But anyway, I'm promoting that movie because the movie is amazing. It's about EMS, a paramedic, burnout. And it's a 24-hour shift. It's the guy from The Office, Dwight. I don't know his name. I'm bad with names, but I do know The Office. So
everybody knows him as Dwight from The Office, yeah.
Yeah, that guy from The Office, is acting as a paramedic. And they explain how bad we get paid. He explained that everybody dies, regardless how famous, how much money you got, and explain how we get burned. Like everybody breaks down. The field, EMS and fire and police, it will break you down. It doesn't matter when, but it will do it. And seeing that movie, my wife is an ER nurse. I told her I done that, I done this, I act that way. And I'm like, shit. I guess I need some treatment too, because it's a lot of things in the movie that I done it or I seen it and especially working in two different countries in EMS and fire. Yeah, I can see that. I relate a lot. So if you can see that movie, it's on YouTube.
3? Yeah.
It's Code 3. It is funny because it's literally what we live every single day in the United States as an EMS provider or firefighter.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd like to watch that because I love movies that are well put together to really put you into the mind and experience of somebody completely different than you. And I think it's a very helpful thing for my work because I can really resonate. I've had my own breakdown in life to where I couldn't take anymore and I didn't know how to ask for help. And, I nearly died trying to numb myself out from the pain. So I understand that feeling in life. And I was married to a police officer. And so, I got to be up close and personal with, I'm not currently married to police officers, many years back, but I got to see up and close and personal, what they go through and the pay that they get. And, sure, they can pay their mortgage, they can pay a car payment, but it's bullshit. It's absolute bullshit pay. When I found out, this was many years ago, so this is I'm sure not relevant. I hope it's not relevant today. But that EMS were starting out at $14 an hour, $13.
Oh no, it's relevant.
It's
still
relevant.
Too.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
That was 15 years ago. That was 15 years ago.
In the movie, they show different professions. Oh, physicians make 100,000 or 200,000. X-ray tech, and then they put paramedics 45,000 a year.
Yeah.
Average around the United States.
Wow. And
they show in the movie. And they say that's what, and yeah, you need to watch the movie. And if you can watch it before you see my man, the firefighter tomorrow, it will. You can tell them, hey, tell me about nursing homes, and he will give you a whole vibe about nursing homes.
Wow.
Yeah.
I really thought that information would have been irrelevant today. That is crazy.
Still, it is.
Yeah.
It's still, and I find out that one of the reasons why, and I'm not an expert on this. Like I'm just a fireman with a lot of, I guess, curiosity. The fire department get grants, by the state, by the government. The EMS are private companies, most of them. So when you work fire and EMS separate, that's when the lack of money goes through EMS, and that's why so many lack of paramedics and EMTs or first responders on that side too.
Wow.
So Florida, locally, we are a mix of firefighter and paramedics. Most of the places in Florida, but not all. But I think that's a tendency because the EMS private companies cannot afford having more paramedics. So that's why those guys burn and they work overtime on mandatory 48 hours straight. Yeah. So.
That is crazy.
Oh,
All right,
yeah.
I'm gonna have to watch that show. I mean, I already have a big soft spot in my heart for.
It is a movie. It's it's 1 hour movie, but it shows you the specific they need to know about EMS, and hopefully people listen to the podcast, take a look about the movie.
It's messed up that the people who are responding to our worst moments in life can barely afford to pay their bills. Like you should not have that on your mind. I mean, it just blows my mind what little we have really provided for those who matter so dearly in our country. Our elderly, our first responders, our children.
Yeah.
The list goes on and on. But
our teachers, they get paid shit, literally.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. And they're, to me, first responders too.
Yeah.
They're in charge of the next generation of people raising or providing this country, and they get paid crap.
And an important part of keeping our country going. My daughter, she just went to go drop my granddaughter off this morning at daycare, and the daycare is closed. And they had some issues, and daycare's closed. Well, my daughter can't go to work. Now she's got to find, so she can't go to work until she can find daycare. So our daycare is keeping our country going, our daycares, our schools, all of this stuff. And these people are being paid really crappy.
And it's a long day. It's a long day, Joe.
But, I mean, as that goes down, that'll take us down a whole different kind of podcast if we start talking about that.
Yeah, I know. But I'm glad that people like you trying to put a little sand of helping everybody else, at least in your field, that at least make it more easier to go away. Like, because life to me is not about the ups, it's about the downs and how you move up and try to make it easier for yourself. And I'm glad that people like you here available, so they can a resource for everybody. And like I said, you're doing like a holistic change. You're going from the sex part to basically how's your life, how you treat your children, your family. So thank you for doing what you're doing, because it's not easy. You're dealing with people all day, talking to people, problems. I get it. I get it, girl.
I will say that, I can't sit here and complain that my work is hard. My work is fun as can be. Honestly, those first responders are missing out. If you really want to get into a higher paid field. But no, I mean, my work is fun. I get to be there as people have their aha moments and discover a kink that they didn't know about themselves. Or they finally let go of the shame of their mother making them feel like a slut for, not being a virgin when they get married. Or, these moments that I get to witness in people that I'm so super grateful for. But I wanted to be able to give a discount to those who are your listeners, because the people who are your listeners, these are the first responders. So I want to have a discount for the first responders to give them 50% off if they wanted to book a Zoom call with me, a Zoom session.
Sweet. So tell them that whoever's listening, you got a 15% off.
Yeah. Just tell me that they heard me on your podcast, and they will get 50% off.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. It's awesome. And like I said, doing this not because I get paid, because I don't get paid for the podcast. I should do it because I like it. I love it. I love to talk to people.
Well, you can always tell me that you heard of me on your podcast.
Yes. And actually, sometimes I text you, hey, I got this problem.
Yeah.
How do you deal with this? And that to me, that's what I'm doing the podcast for. Just little things like that. It's not just me. So if anybody needs some help in that aspect, girl, you the one. To me, you're the one.
Yeah, I like providing that. My clients are always a little surprised when I tell them, like, you can text me and email me as much as you want. Now, phone call, that's different, because now you got my undivided attention. But a text mail or email, I've got this issue going on. Can you help me? I have one of my clients who that's one of his ways that he communicated the best, and he would text me every night between 9 and 11, so that way just to be able to get through his divorce. And he was going through a really awful divorce, and between the hours of 9 to 11, he felt the loneliest in his apartment, and his mind would just start going crazy. And I'm like, so text me. I said, listen, just so you know, I'm laying in bed scrolling social media. Like, my brain is not on major, but I'm here for you. We can process things. It's perfectly fine.
Wow.
It really helped.
Yeah, and divorce is a whole different ballgame. that's I don't, hopefully I never go through that. I don't think so. But those people going through divorce, especially with kids, that's a whole. I seen how that destroy people's life, especially on the firefighter side, because it happens all the time,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Yeah, and what I try to do is I try to keep, because one of the experiences that so many children have is their parents using
Divorcing.
them as a pawn
Hmm.
to be the good guy. And my first and foremost with those clients who are in the process of that and are dealing with things is supporting them on being able to see that bigger picture. So that way they can get to that divorce without, throwing those things out there.
Yes, and
Because it
yeah,
shuts you down. Anything that shuts other people down that you love, especially your children, it's going to shut you down sexually. It's going to shut you down in so many ways. I can't tell you how much my mother the guilt of I was an alcoholic as a mother to them until they were in their teen years, their early teen years. So there's a lot of guilt there. And a lot of that guilt as a mother actually held me back sexually because my body just, anytime the body's holding on to any kind of shame or guilt, it's going to affect every part of it. The heart can't fully open up. We can't communicate
yeah,
fully and effectively. We have anxiety in our belly, depression in our bodies, and it shuts down our sex. So when we're opening up one, we're opening up them all. When we're shutting down one, we're shutting down them all in different ways. So, that's why I like to expand my horizons. So that way, when I'm tuning into what a client needs, I'm not tuning in just on what they need sexually, but I'm taking all these other elements of their life into consideration when we're creating a plan for them moving forward.
awesome, and that's awesome. More power to you, girl. And before we finish, because it's already almost an hour, one advice that you want to tell people: Hey, do this, short and sweet.
I would say a habit that a lot of people do when they find a part of themselves that's unfavorable. A part of ourselves. For instance, I was assisting at a workshop, and this woman was processing through the fact that she had been trying to get attention from men by sending out naughty pictures and videos and stuff. And she's a single woman, and she's like, I'm just trying to get attention and affection, but I hate the fact that I'm doing this, and I feel really crappy about it. And for most people, it'd be like, shut that off. Don't do that anymore. Shut that part of you down. Oh my gosh, don't send those pictures. But I was like, well, how is this part of you serving you? It's getting you attention. It's getting you the affection. But maybe it's not doing it in the way that you like. Instead of saying this part of me is bad and wrong, why don't we say this part of me doesn't yet know how to ask for attention? And
Oh,
we get to focus more on the parts of us that we don't like, and I like to put that in parentheses because don't like. And when we focus more on those parts of us that we shame, that we put into the closet, that we don't want anybody to find out about, the more those parts of us are just going to scream from that closet. And so when we let those parts out and we say, what is it that you need to feel whole, to feel loved? And really tuning in. So I had her tune in to the little slutty girl inside. And I said, let's call her little slutty girl. That's okay. She's your little slutty girl. I got a
that's
little
true.
slutty girl inside of me. I mean, it's no secret. I did OnlyFans. I've been a stripper. Like, I got a little slutty side of me. Sure, we all do. Why don't we just welcome that little slutty girl in and say, okay, listen, now we're not going to send pictures anymore like that, but what can I give you to make you feel satisfied that you've gotten a little bit of that slutty part out? And then not only addressing that part, but also
Hmm.
addressing her heart, the part of
Yeah,
her that wanted real attention, honest attention, the kind of attention that made her heart feel good. And let's tune in to what kind of attention is that, and how can we go about getting that attention in a way that doesn't trigger the slutty part of us to come out so much, and save that slutty part for when we're ready for that part to come out. So it's about tuning into the different parts of us, because parts of us can be happy while other parts of us are sad. Parts of us can like something while other parts of us shame it. Tune into them. What do they truly, really need to be happy? And finding a common ground for them. So hopefully that can kind of open people's eyes if they are finding that there's a part of themselves that they're often shaming or shoving into a closet or trying to ignore. Why don't you bring that part out? And you can do that often with journaling. And if you're not in a safe space where maybe you're in a home where people don't give you any private space, journal about it, burn it. Journal about it and burn it. So that's a way to maybe allow this part to come out, but not be seen yet until they're ready to be seen.
Got it. Wow, that's a great advice. Hopefully people take some notes out of it. And before we leave, what people can find you? Can you say?
You can easily find me from my website because I've got links to everything from my website. My website is my name, CasaundraHope.com. And I'm on Instagram and Facebook and trying to get on YouTube a little bit more often.
Hey, it takes time. Trust me. I've been, it takes time and patience. That's what it is, and discipline.
Yeah. I don't have that much yet.
Yeah.
I have another area. It's just not for YouTube yet. I'm trying to get there.
You will. Eventually you will. Yeah. And before we leave, anybody you recommend to be in the podcast to talk about any subject that you think that will be good for the podcast? Because, my podcast is kind of wide open to everything.
Yes, it is.
As long as positive and help people.
I would say I want to point you in the direction of one of my teachers, Francesca Gentile. I think that she'd be great on your podcast. So I'll give you her contact information.
Sweet.
Reach out to her.
Awesome. I will do it, hopefully. You got to answer soon. Yeah. And with that, guys and girls and everybody in between, thank you so much for listening to us or seeing us on YouTube. Thank you so much, Cassandra, for being here. I appreciate your time. I know we have a busy schedule, and it's always a pleasure talking to you. You are awesome.
Thank you.
Glowing. By the way, you call it. You got a new granddaughter?
I have a new grandson. I'm up to 6 grandchildren now since we last talked. I got a new grandson, and I'm expecting another. I'm going to have 7 grandchildren soon.
Whoa, look at that. Look at that, Grandma.
Yeah, fun.
Yeah, it'll be fun. It'll be a big family reunion every Thanksgiving or Christmas.
Thank you so much for having me on here. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. To me, it's a pleasure. I have so much fun talking to you. I love it.
It is fun.
Yes, it is. And hopefully we can do that one time in person. I'm trying. Trust me, I'm trying. If you come to Orlando area.
You know what? If you do one in person, if you want to record any parts of it for your podcast, we can do that. maybe certain parts you will, certain parts you won't.
Yeah, let's do that before. Because YouTube is really strict about it.
Yeah, they are kind of strict when it comes to that.
Yeah, it's really strict about it. But we can do something. Trust me. Every time I go down south, I always, hey, where are you? Are you available today? Hey, at least you say hi.
You're coming through, and I was like, oh, I'm booked solid. I'm so sorry.
God, yeah. But we'll do it. It's gonna happen. That's one of my goals next year. Go down south and at least do a podcast with you, or at least see each other. Hey, take a picture. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Get a coffee and a picture. Hey, awesome. We got it. Finally. Me in person. Finally, after so many years. Well, 2, I guess, or 1. But it feels like a lot of years. It feels like I'm talking to a friend that I met in high school.
Yeah, well, I mean, also I've watched some of your podcasts, so, I've heard your voice more often, so,
Yeah.
That kind
of
helps.
You're used to my accent and my craziness sometimes. And the way I am. Yeah.
You kind of remind me of the accent of the guy who does Valuetainment, which I watch too.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you have similar accent to his.
Oh, awesome. Oh, I'll take it. Fuck it.
He's a good podcaster.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Patrick, he's in actually Miami. PDB Podcast. I listen to him too, but he's from Iran, something like that.
I think it's not just the accent; it's his voice tone too. You had a similar tone. His is ever so slightly deeper, but very similar tone, pacing, and all of that. So the accent being similar kind of helps it, but it's a lot more than just the accent.
Yeah, and plus he's more nasal. He's always like gagging something. I don't know why. There's a lot of videos making fun of him, memes about how like nasal he is. It's hilarious.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you look it up. I'll make fun of all the guys on the. Yeah, PDB
Huh.
Podcast memes, and they make fun of all the guys on and it's hilarious.
Shit. I don't think I ever picked up on him being nasally like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I've only listened to maybe, I don't know, 6 or 7 of his podcasts.
Yeah, and it's great. He got great people.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he got the president. He got everybody. You
Yeah.
name it, he had it in some form. Kobe Bryant. What last time? Oh, so many people that he had. And if you listen to that PDD, bro, I appreciate to go to your podcast. Hey, I don't mind go to Miami for a second. If I have a chance to at least know you, that would be awesome. Actually, I will tag it on the description. Maybe somebody on his team can say, hey, who knows?
You never know, you know?
Look, I learned something. Yeah, I learned something in life that you never know. After going to almost all the continents in 1 year, I will say you never know where life could take you.
Yeah. And it's beautiful to be open to whatever that is.
Yes, you have to. If not, it's not going to happen. Never. But with that, okay, so now we finally get done with the podcast. I appreciate you a lot. You're amazing. You're awesome. People listening, go to her if you got any problems on the sexual realm. Maybe he can help you to another parts in life too. You're in Florida. Yeah, and around the world. And you guys, like I said, I'll put in the description. I put all your your link, basically your website, and hopefully, yeah. Thank you. You got some people you can help out. Thank you so much. And with that, thank you guys. Click, subscribe, like, whatever shit. Always put on the
Yes, do all the things. Get his views up there.
Yes.
And give a like to this video, especially.
Yes. And all the little clips that I will do with this. Because the AI stuff is amazing. AI is amazing.
I still got to learn that.
As is, just click a button and let it go.
Shit.
Embrace the machine. Embrace Terminator. It's coming for us at some point.
I hope so. We could use some.
It's true that. See ya. Bye, guys. Bye.